What's up, everybody? The world is a better place because you are here to join us. My name is Matt Brown, and I am the host of the Productive Conversations podcast. And it is Monday, October 1st, 2024. Happy October. And we are about to start baseball's best post. Sorry, not just baseball, sports best postseason. It's officially October baseball. The MLB playoffs are set, and we're about to have an incredible month. The great Alec Reeves has joined me again to preview the MLB postseason. Alec, it's so great to see you.
It's good to see you too, Matt. Thank you again for having me on, man. Always love talking, love baseball. Best time of the year. We got football, we got baseball. We've got meaningful baseball. No more, regular season games where you get some of these crazy, weird, pointless matchups. All these games are incredibly intense. Every pitch matters. So
That's
I'm,
right.
I'm looking forward to getting into it with you, brother.
And it's really cool because really it's anybody's game. Any of these
Oh,
teams
yeah.
can make the World Series. You just need to be hot at the right time. So let's talk about
100%.
who we think is going to get there and why this is about to be a great month. But also, just one more quick message. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Productive Conversations podcast, all podcasting platforms and YouTube. Don't forget to check out exclusive content regarding the show across all social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Productive Conversations Podcast, X and Twitter at ProdConvoPod. And we're on TikTok at Productive Conversations and Facebook at Productive Conversations. And as always, thank you to our presenting sponsor, Magic Mind. Right here is your shot to get your life in a better place. By going to the description below or go to magicmind.com/PCMB and use discount code PCMB20 for 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your first one-time purchase, you will get a bunch of these beautiful green tea shots, and you take them before your day begins. And as long as you stay consistent with them, you will have reduced inflammation, you will have more mental clarity, and your quality of life will improve. And that is because of its special recipe and its signature nootropics and vitamins allows this product to enhance your quality of life. Thank you to Magic Mind for always having our back. And again, go to magicmind.com/PCMB and use discount code PCMB20 for 20% off your first one-time purchase or 48% off your first subscription. Alec, what's great about October baseball, we briefly talked before out recording, is the fact that and you alluded to in the beginning, is the fact that every single pitch counts. The
Mm-hmm.
stakes, the stakes are as high as they could be. What can make baseball tedious in the regular season adds to the hype in October. And we're
Right.
about to
Right.
start. We have officially started the Wildcard Series today, and it will
Yeah.
remain this way. Best 2 out of 3 series. Then we go to best out of 5 for the Division Series next week. Championship Series
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks after that, and the last 2 weeks of October, the World Series. So right now, there are a total of 12 teams left. So let's
Yep.
talk about where we see this going. So
12
before,
teams left. It just started, bro.
I know, man, that's what's
Yeah,
it
12
counts.
teams. 12 teams punched their ticket. I think they actually expanded it this season. Am I wrong on that one?
Last season was the first wild card season. So yes, we
Okay.
have 8 teams played today, and then we have the 2 teams that got their buys. So yeah, so make a total
Yeah.
of 8, and already by Friday, 4 of those teams are going to be out. So as we said, best 2 out of 3 with these series. But first, why don't we talk about the teams that have their bye, who will be in the division series, who gets home field advantage in the division series. So first with the AL, why don't we talk about the best team in the United States of America, the New York Yankees,
Mm-hmm.
best team in baseball this year, 98
Mm-hmm.
wins, quite a roller coaster, if you will. But after clinching the division against Baltimore earlier this week, things were looking good for them. We have your
Yes.
MVP in Aaron Judge. We have Juan Soto, who played like an MVP himself. We have a healthy team for the most part. with the exception of Nestor Cortez, a late injury list player. But ultimately, this Yankee team has momentum, and there's a lot to be excited for. And now,
Mhm.
with clinching home field advantage throughout the playoffs, you have to talk about why this team might be the one. Can this Yankee team be the one? And it's fair to say a little bias on this, but no problem with it. But Alec, this might be the
Yeah.
chance for the Yankees to finally win 28. And
Oh, it
tell
is.
me why you think that is the case for me and all our great listeners.
Well, many reasons, Matt. I would say, I mean, the two most obvious being Judge and Soto, the dynamic duo of Judge and Soto. We witnessed what those two men can do on a baseball field this season. We already knew how good they were, but to see them hitting back to back in a lineup is pretty terrifying for any team to go against. You can't pitch around Judge to get to Soto. You can't, or vice versa. You just can't. You got to go at them. And we've got guys around them that can also swing a good bat. And Torres, Austin Wells. We brought up Jason
Mm-hmm.
Dominguez late in the season, so he's going to be a good addition to the team as well. I would say in years past, I always kind of worried about the Yankees once they made it to the playoffs because of mainly, it sounds crazy, but lack of offense. It was never really the
Oh yeah.
pitching that's been our Achilles. It's always been they can't get big hits in big spots. But this year feels a little different. I think on paper, they can beat anybody. We know that. It really is. This season, it is different because it's going to come down to how do our starters hold up? Can they go 6, 7 innings? Can they give up three runs or less? Can they have these good quality starts in the playoffs here and give our team a chance to win? Because we know this team can put up a lot of runs. They got no issue putting up 6, 7, 8 runs on anybody, on any team. Um, Granted, it's not going to be easy. We're going to be facing the best pitching, available from other teams. But typically, these games are low-scoring games. They're 3-2, they're 3-1, 5-3, 4-2. They're low-scoring games. So it's really going to come down to our bullpen and our pitching. But I've never felt more confident in a Yankees team in pretty much I it sounds crazy, but my whole life I've never actually felt more confident in a team than this Yankees roster. And a lot of it has to do with Judge. In years past we relied too much on Judge. Um, I think what I meant to say was a lot of it relies on comes down to Soto. I don't think people understand how freaking good at baseball Juan Soto really is. He is easily a top 5 player in the game, in my opinion.
And so
And having
nonchalantly
him
about it
and
too.
yeah, dude, he's just incredible. He's a great hitter. He's got power, and he brings a lot of good energy to this team. But we can't get too hung up on our two stars. It's a team sport. We got a lot of guys that are going to have to do their jobs if we're going to make a deep run this year. So, but I'm excited. Be interested to see how Garrett Cole looks in game one. But yeah, I think the pitching, that's really it's the big question mark. I think late in the season, you saw guys like, for instance, I'm blanking on his name right now.
Like Luis Hill or
Well, not I was thinking Clark Schmidt,
oh,
Nestor
okay.
Cortez, just kind of guys that are going to fill out the rotation. Marcus Stroman was the guy I was thinking of. Marcus Stroman, Carlos Rodon. They're going to have to step up. They're going to have
Clearly.
to throw at least one or two really good games. And even if we have a short rotation of only 4 starters, which is what most teams do in the playoffs, you figure we're going to have to throw Garrett Cole, Luis
Yep.
Hill, Rodon, Schmidt, or Cortez, or Stroman. So it's either going to be Stroman, Schmidt, Rodon. I don't know what their postseason roster looks like, but I would assume, one of those guys is going to have to step up, if not more than one. And Cortez has looked a lot better down stretch, but to be honest with you, there's not a lot of faith in Stroman or Rodon in big games right now. We'll see. They're good. They're veteran pitchers. They have experience. I'm sure they have playoff experience, but it's hard to trust a guy who's got an ERA north of 4 to go out there and give you 6 or 7 innings in a big game. So
Yeah, you talk about how the bullpen is the one thing that might hinder this team as it has all season. The only true bullpen arm I can trust is Luke Weaver right now. You definitely can't trust Clay
mhm,
Holmes. What a mess
mhm.
he's had. Um, and
Yeah,
while you fill out this rotation, you could at least trust Garrett Cole and Heel into play. And then, yeah, trying to find those last two starters. Stroman is a vet, but he's shown some problems. Even was demoted to the bullpen at one point this season. Rodon is very emotional. When he's good. But when he's bad, not only he
yep.
messes it up, but then he gets really pissed off and those little temper tantrums and stuff in the dugout. But, and then Clark Schmidt,
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
believe he has pitched in the postseason yet, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. For all we know, he could
Neither
be
is
like El.
Heel.
Yeah. The only thing I just maybe a little more confident in Heel because he's at least pitched in big spots of regular season. But you're right, the postseason is
Right.
a whole different animal. If you remember El Duque Orlando Hernandez.
Oh, yeah.
So, pretty good pitch. Like he was fine pitcher, had a cool stance. It was the postseason though that he was always electric. So if one of those two
Right,
can be really good in the postseason and give the innings as if we could get them, especially get them to the seventh inning, that will be the
right.
key because the bullpen will, make your heart drop. And you can't take a game for granted, especially in these short series. So the managers have to figure out who's best in the shorter series. That's what I
Right.
like to talk about when we get to the Wildcard Series games. But can Aaron Boone, can you trust Aaron Boone to make the right decisions, especially with his bullpen and pitching staff, to have this team progress?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's got the experience as a manager. I mean, yeah, you'd hope he's going to pull the right strings, but again, it's kind of up in the air about who the hell is even going to be our closer. I mean, obviously, it's
Yeah.
probably going to be Luke Weaver, but it's like you never know with Boone. He could, leave a guy in too long or, pull a guy too early or whatever. I mean, that's really the biggest thing is deciding when to go to your bullpen in a big game. Say it's game 1, right? We got a 1-0 lead in the 8th and Cole's shoving. Do you keep him in? Do you leave him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
we've seen both Cole pitch really well in the playoffs, and we've seen him be really bad. Like you remember the division series again, the one and done against the Red Sox, he did not step up. I mean, honestly, I
yeah,
would let him. He's proven that he can do a complete game. If I were him, if I was Boone, I'd keep it old school and let him deal if he's proving that. But you know how the analytic departments are as well. That's the one thing that's been said hundreds of millions of times. Analytics is fine in the regular season, but in the postseason, you gotta drop that shit. And if we want to talk
right,
about,
right.
remember the COVID World Series, Blake Snell is dealing in an elimination game. They take him out and they literally blow it. The Rays blow it, and Dodgers win the World Series. That's not a perfect example of why you have to go with your gut in these
I
postseason
agree.
games than nothing else is. So I think we could talk more about this once the Yankees have their actual opponent. But for now, I do trust as long and think with you that the Yankees can go deep, but it's all on the pitching.
Oh
All of
yeah,
it. Offense will
yeah,
be completely fine. I really think that. Even with the shortcomings. And remember, Yankees were in the playoffs last year, so this is their first time back in 2 years. Maybe that makes a difference. It could be. Maybe that one little break
maybe.
will make can um
I know that place can
prove
be
that.
rocking on Saturday. I'll tell you that much.
Damn, that shit's gonna be awesome, bro. That is
It's
going
gonna
to be
be.
awesome.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be rocking, man. I mean, I you can't just focus on the pitching or just the offense or whatever, the coaching. It's all got to come together. We all know that. It takes a team effort to win games in October. Um, the offense could go cold just as easily as the pitching on any team, on any team. It's not just the Yankees. We're talking about the Dodgers, the Padres, the Phillies, the Orioles, any of these good teams can all of a sudden either implode or play very, very well. But a lot of it, like in baseball, is momentum. If you can get out to an early lead, even in game one, even if you don't get out to an early lead, if you can win game one, it's about building on that and kind of settling down. It's really important, I think, that we go out Saturday and get a win, either against KC or Baltimore, because that's who we're playing is the winner of that series. So, um, but yeah, it's a long grind, man. And another key thing the Yankees really should be worried about is their defense and base running,
Mhm.
because you make some of these stupid errors or stupid base running decisions in a big game, and you could probably kiss your chances of winning a series goodbye. You know what I'm saying? Garrett
Yeah.
Glaber Torres, the amount of times I've seen that man get thrown out at third base or home plate, jog around the bases, you can't do that. And I hope to God they come out Saturday with a fire under their ass, ready to bulldoze this team and not take anybody lightly, because it's just frustrating as a fan. You're watching a guy making millions of dollars. You can't run a ball out. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you're saying to yourself, okay, you're getting paid, $8-9 million a year. You can't run a baseball out. You can't run to first base at full speed. So just little things like that can make or break a game. So the Yankees, we saw Dominguez in left. He didn't look very good. So it'd be interesting to see where they put him and how they utilize him. But we do know that Rizzo is out with the broken finger.
Yeah, fracture figure. Ben Rice comes in. He'll be starting at first base for the Yankees. We really could use him to step up now. He was so
Yeah,
when he was in the regular season. Definitely need that get that average up. But
definitely.
gotta go. Let's go. Be the best first baseman of all time, man. Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. The spotlight's there for him. We'll see if he can step up. It's not easy to play in front of a sold out rocking crowd like that. But I mean, like you said, he's had some clutch hits all year. We'll see if he can get a couple more. We're
Same
not
thing.
expecting a lot out of him. Let's put it that way. We're not expecting him to hit 400 and drive in 10 runs this series. He's just got to do his job, play defense, and see if he can draw some walks or something. That's all.
Amen to that. And one thing before we wrap up, I definitely trust Stanton. Stanton has proven he can play in October.
Oh yeah,
Soto, I mean, he literally led the Washington Nationals to a World Series at 19 years old and has done fine
yeah,
in other postseasons. And some people like to
he's
knock on
clutch.
Aaron Judge at the postseason. He's really not as bad as people think. If you want to
No,
see the eye test, he's had big home runs before. And in the postseason, I can refer to the 17 ALCS, for instance, or the
amen.
wild card game
Yeah,
against Oakland. He's been proven to hit in the postseason. So those people who don't think he can, maybe because of a low average, it just shows why these people are misguided and stupid and don't know sports.
right.
But yeah, so
I agree.
offense should be good. We'll see what happens now. But Volpe will be starting first time in the postseason. Um, and yeah, Jazz Chisholm on. It's good to see is be rocking with that. And Dominguez, that's the one thing. The postseason roster won't be announced for the Yankees until Friday. But you'd have to put Dominguez in, even though he's had struggles defensively and hasn't been as clutch. Or do you put in Verdugo in, who has won a World Series? It's actually been pretty good with the Red Sox in the postseason. Who would you start in left for the Yankees?
Say that again, Matt. You cut out. Verdugo or Dominguez?
Yeah, for the postseason, Ross, and who would start? I would assume they bring them both in, but who would you start in left? I think they'll do
Um,
Verdugo just because of all the analytics and politics games with that. But
yeah,
or do you trust this young stud who I know he did better last year in the majors than now, but and he's is still technically still a prospect. But
yeah.
what would you do?
I mean, depends on what they do with Stanton. Obviously, he's a DH, but you could start Verdugo in left and then DH Dominguez if Stanton. I mean, they're gonna start Stanton every day, so that's I guess not an option. But all I was gonna say was Dominguez isn't a left fielder; he's a center fielder. So by putting him in left, it's not his true position. I'm not saying that's an excuse not to miss that ball that he did miss, but yeah, I would probably lean Verdugo. And then if he goes, 0 for 4 in game one, they'll probably just start Dominguez in game two. Um, but yeah, I mean, the thing about Verdugo is he's a great defensive player, but his hitting has been terrible. So, you got to pick and choose your battles. Do you want a guy who's a better hitter, but his defense might be a little shaky, or do you want a Gold Glove caliber left fielder, but he's not going to really get a lot of hits? So I think in game one they'll probably start Verdugo only because he's been here all season. He's comfortable in left. He's not a liability at the plate. Like he can hit. It's just he's had a rough few months. So um, would I like to see them start Dominguez? Yeah, I would love for them to just play Dominguez every day in the postseason. But knowing the Yankees and how cautious they are with everything they do, they'll probably just play Verdugo in game one. Um, but the Yankees management just has a way of doing exactly the opposite of what the fan base wants and what the
Literally.
general public thinks is the best. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah.
At the trade deadline, we could have gotten so much bullpen help, but no, we got fucking Jazz Chisholm. Who Jazz Chisholm? Don't get me. I absolutely love Jazz Chisholm. I think he is one of the best pickups we've had in recent deadline history. But at the end of the day, we kind of did need pitching, like bullpen, just
Right.
strictly relievers. But hey, what's done is done. We got our team set. But yeah, it'll be fun. It is wild to think that we have a lineup that consists of at any given time Stanton, Judge, Soto, Jazz Chisholm, Jason Dominguez, and Austin Wells, who almost won Rookie of the Year. So
Like I said to
it's a
you, bro,
loaded.
this is
It's
our
loaded.
time.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and it is loaded. And let us hope by the end of this month, 30 days from now, the Yankees have either won the World Series by then. I know the very last day for Game 7 would be November 2nd, or
Or
you
they're in
know,
Game 6, going
yeah,
into
right.
7. Right?
Let's enjoy
That would
this
be
ride.
incredible.
Let's enjoy this
I
ride
will.
with our favorite team, bro.
I will say this: if they make it to the ALCS or the World Series, I predict those to be long series. The Yankees don't really have a strong rotation that they're gonna just blow you away with. You know what I mean? And like, that's kind of where my head's at. It's like, yeah, they throw out Cole and Heel, they can win 2 games against anyone, assuming they're pitching well. But then you get into the later part of their rotation, and it's not so easy. But yeah, can't wait, man. These games are gonna be cinema, instant cinema.
Instant cinema indeed. All right, and the other AL team that is awaiting somebody in the ALDS is the Cleveland Guardians, a young, scrappy team with really good pitching that gets themselves back in the American League Central Division championship. Sorry, the Central Division champion Cleveland Guardians. Is there anything that really makes you interested in this team? Do you think this team can make a run? They
Who?
haven't the Guardians. Do you think they have a chance?
Oh yeah, of course they do. Yeah, they have a good team. I mean, they've slumped late in the season here. I think I read a stat today that said that their offense has one of the lowest OPSs in baseball over the last month. They've struggled to score runs, get on base, um, but they're a good team. You know, they're a balanced team. They have a great closer in Emmanuel Clase, who's absolutely electric. The guy throws 102, and he's a nightmare to face late in games.
All right. I don't Nothing really impresses me about the offense either besides Naylor and Ramirez. But like I said, a lot of up and comers there, but they really play some old school baseball.
Oh yeah, the Guardians.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they pretty much ran away with the Central all year. Not necessarily ran away with it. It was a little tight down the stretch, but you know they were in command all year. They played pretty good. Again, they have kind of regressed quite a bit here towards the last after the All Star break. They've kind of been up and down. Um, Offensively, you know, their lineup it's good, but it's not. You know, it's not going to blow you away. But yeah, I would say for one of the weaker divisions in baseball, they have a good team. Um, and I say that I don't know if that division's really necessarily that weak. You know, you've got Minnesota, you got Kansas City, you've got Cleveland, you've got Detroit, and what's crazy is Cleveland, Kansas City, and Detroit all made the playoffs. The Minnesota Twins with one of the most epic collapses I've ever seen to
that's
miss the
right.
playoffs. So that's
Losers.
not necessarily a bad division. I mean, you almost had four teams in that division make playoffs, but I would argue the AL East is still much stronger. And I mean, I would say probably the AL Central is stronger than the AL West, more balanced. But yeah, I mean, they managed to win 92 games. The Guardians did. They're 50-30 at home on the season, which is the best record in the American League at home.
Hmm.
The Yankees are 44-37 at home. The thing about Cleveland, though, the run differential plus 87, tied with Baltimore for the third, or excuse me, tied with Baltimore for the fourth highest run differential in the American League. So they're good. Yeah, they're a good team. It's just, you know, what would worry me as a Guardians fan is their trend over the last month. They haven't really been hitting the baseball too well. But yeah, I mean, they're going to be playing the winner of the Astros Tigers series. And they definitely have a good chance to go to the American League Championship Series. I would say, uh, you know, out of all these teams that made it, it's thing about baseball that I love is it's extremely evenly matched. Really, you're not going to get a team that's going to absolutely wall up anybody because to make it this far in a baseball season, playing 162 games, it proves that you have what it takes to win games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
These teams didn't make it here by accident. They made it here with good pitching and good offense, and it's really comes down to who can you know play up to their potential. And the Guardians, I would put them right up there with the Royals and the Orioles and the Astros. They're a good team.
There you go. It's going to be interesting to watch and talk about the other two National League teams that were able to get buys, the Dodgers and the Phillies. We got the Phillies once again, a team with so much momentum, great offense and great pitching, especially their starting
Yep.
pitching. We have the Dodgers, the annoying Dodgers with the NL MVP,
Hmm.
probably the most stacked lineup top to bottom, and
You could argue that,
okay,
yeah, for sure.
okay pitching for the most part. But anything with these two in the Phillies and Dodgers that really sticks out to you? even if maybe the Dodgers can have spent so much payroll on that team to only make it to the NLDS, I don't think to make it to the NLDS and get eliminated wouldn't actually be that surprising to me.
Who's that? The Dodgers?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the big thing with the Dodgers right now, they obviously have Shohei, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Will Smith. I mean, they have a loaded offense, but and there's a big but is their rotation is extremely injured.
yeah,
Um, guys like Tyler Glasnow,
he's gone,
Clayton Kershaw,
gone.
um, Walker Bueller's been horrible. Um, Yodamoto or Yodamoto, the guy they got from Japan in the
Yeah,
offseason, he's
yeah,
been
Yoshi
very good.
Yamamoto.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And they're gonna have to rely heavily on that guy. And I think I want to say Walker Bueller, which is crazy because ERA is almost 6, and he's been atrocious almost all year. He's been terrible. So, and think about what team wins the World Series every year. Do they do it with their offense or do they do it with good pitching and good defense? It's usually the latter.
Yeah, exactly. You know what they say, Alec? Good pitching always beats good hitting.
Exactly. And you're seeing that right now with the Tigers beating the Astros. That's the
Yeah,
Cy Young winner right there. Tariq Skubal is the Cy Young winner in the American League, and he is shoving against the Astros. The guy's a beast. Um, and most people don't even know that guy's name.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's
It's
on baseball for marketing issues. I hope that shit gets fixed as the years to come.
I
But
mean, it's hard though. You're talking about a small market club like the Tigers, and to be fair, Tariq Skubal before this season was not a top 5 pitcher. He was middle of the road, and then all of a sudden he's having a breakout season,
mhm.
and that's how you establish yourself as a big leaguer and prove, you're an all-star. You're not only an all-star, you're one of the best pitchers in baseball. But the Dodgers, going back to the Dodgers, they don't have the arms to make a deep run, in my opinion. If
Yep.
if they're gonna win the World Series, Shohei Ohtani is gonna have to freaking hit 500, which he very well might, and he probably could, and he might. You know
And
what I'm
then
saying?
baseball will have a big chubby for that one because they love to dick ride him.
Oh yeah, yeah, all year, all year. I mean, it is incredible the fact he's literally a pitcher hitting fucking 50 home runs, stealing 50 bases.
Oh, no doubt
Um,
about it. I definitely agree, but show some other
Judge
love
is
to
still better.
players too. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the season Judge had is still statistically much more impressive and better because he hit for a better average, had more home runs, drove in more runs. Um, and like you said, the Dodgers have such a loaded roster that it's not that impressive to drive in a lot of runs when, half your lineup is like all stars. But yeah, so Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei, they're going to have to play very well and put up a lot of runs. But, I think the Dodgers, they're still the Dodgers. They're probably going to choke. I hate to be that guy, but we'll see. We'll see. Am I rooting for them? Absolutely not. Am I rooting for the Phillies? A little bit more, but not really. I root more for small market teams like the Met. Not the Mets. That's bad. That's a big market. I'm thinking more. I mean, the National
like
League. Looking at
like
the
Milwaukee,
matchups.
for instance, or San Diego.
There we go. That's who I was thinking. Milwaukee. That's the team I'll be rooting for. Would I like to see the Mets make a run? Sure. I'm not a Mets hater, but I'm not a Mets fan. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't see the Mets beating the Brewers. I'll just put that out there right now. Not Luis Severino. We both know his pedigree as a postseason starter. He's terrible in the
And
postseason.
he did bad, though the Mets won there, though the Mets wound up getting in with that doubleheader on Monday. Remember, right
Hmm.
before the hurricane, it was a big 3-game series. And Severino was the only one who pitched against the Braves that Monday before the hurricane, and he played awful. Unfortunately, he can't pitch in the big game and hasn't proven yet. And well, that's the one thing playing a double header, then going out to Milwaukee, flying to Milwaukee, and then playing a game at 5:30. The Mets are in legit bullpen issues, and they just played the Brewers this past weekend, losing 2 out of 3. Plus, the Brewers swept them at the very first series of the year. This Brewers team has the Mets number, and
Yeah.
honestly, you can't give a pass because it's 2 out of 3. So it's not like they can take it easy for game one, because then you could lose tomorrow and the season's over. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I like the Mets because just being around Mets fans all the time. Parents are Mets fans. Most of my group chats are Mets fans. But
Being a Connecticut, New York guy, I get
yeah,
that. I definitely get
so
that.
I like to. There's no way I would ever want him to beat the Yankees in the World Series, but I respect him for people. Also, would love to see him lose for people I don't like who are Met fans, and I know a lot of people who are Met fans I don't like. But that's neither here nor there. But this is going to be a really hard series against a very hot Milwaukee team. But I like the storyline going into it. The former GM, or I guess president of baseball operations, David Stearns, goes to the Mets with this pretty cool season. And now they go back to face each other on that field. It's going to be interesting. Man, but too bad Christian Yelich isn't in this series. It's the only thing that sucks for the Brewers.
Yeah, they've really missed him, but I mean, it doesn't seem like they missed him that much. They won 93 games.
Yeah, right?
The thing about Milwaukee that I absolutely love um, is it's a small market team. They play in a pretty tough division with the Cubs and the Cardinals, and I believe Cincinnati Reds. It's not a loaded division by any means, but if you remember the standings all year, they've been in first place all damn year, Matt. I mean, this team,
Right.
they've just been playing very good baseball all year. And you look at their rotation after trading Corbin Burns, right? Their ace. They traded Corbin Burns to the Orioles, who is now the Orioles ace. And they're doing it with guys like Freddie Peralta. Um, and I'm forgetting their other starters, but Colin Ray, I believe, is one of their starters. He's not that great, but um, they're not going to blow you away on paper. But they've got a very well balanced team, very similar to the Phillies. The Phillies are much more loaded, I would say. But for example, Freddie Peralta, who's starting game one for the Milwaukee Brewers, 11-9 on the year with a 3.68, 200 strikeouts. Not Cy Young caliber numbers by any means, um, but he's been very solid for them. And the Mets, they've got guys like Severino and Minaya, but again, the Mets.
Their bullpen, if you want to talk about bullpens that could blow it, they almost blew it on Monday. And Diaz, you either get the best closer or you get somebody who, one, can make boneheaded decisions like not going to first, and they're in the game one of the
Yeah,
doubleheader, or just
yep.
absolutely gives up a bunch of runs. It's tough, man. Mets, though, their lineup's pretty solid, similar to the Yankees, but even in a worse situation, I think their pitching can hold them
Ah,
back.
See, I don't agree at all with their lineup being solid. If you look at their lineup, you take out Lindor and you take out Alonso, right? The two big name guys. You're looking at guys like Brandon Nimmo, Jose Iglesias, Jesse Winker, Matt Vientos, Starlin Marte. You know what I'm saying? Nobody there is gonna freaking win you a game.
For
They're
sure, for
good. They're
sure.
good,
Nemo,
solid
Nemo,
players.
Nemo can scrape, and Vientos has had a pretty good series, but
So Nimmo's a
all
power
I'm
guy. I
basically
mean,
yeah, all I'm basically saying though is that their offense is better suited than the actual pitching staff. You're right. Is it the best?
right.
That's what I mainly meant. But
It's a good. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Mets, they impressed me this season, and I'm very impressed that they're even in the playoffs. Let alone
Yeah.
almost 190 games. They've been scrappy all year, and by no means are they, you know, for sure eliminated against Milwaukee. But I lean Milwaukee in that series, mainly based on experience, home field advantage, pitching matchups, rest, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of factors that kind of point towards Milwaukee in that series. One of them being, like you said, think about this doubleheader yesterday for the Mets. They got
Yeah.
to fly all the way to Milwaukee from Atlanta, which isn't necessarily, an easy flight. It's not that far, but so you play two games on Monday, an exhilarating finish to game one, game two, whatever. You get on a plane last night in Atlanta at what, 8 o'clock at night,
Probably.
9 at night.
Well, no, the what I think, yeah, probably like 8, 9, 10. And remember, they actually partied after. They had to celebrate. I don't know why
Right.
they did that, to be honest. But like, of course you want to celebrate, but it's because you have a game literally the next day on the road. I don't know.
The commissioner of the MLB actually said we don't want either the Mets or the Braves to celebrate making the playoffs. Whoever wins game one, we don't want you to celebrate.
Exactly, and they saved it for
Um,
the after game 2 ended, which, yeah,
yeah,
I think it ended at about 7:30. If
yeah. And then think about this: you go back in the locker room, you got the press in your face, you got to do all these interviews, you got to shower, you got to get nice and dressed, you got to celebrate with your boys. Then you got to hop on a plane. Next thing you know, you're playing a baseball game in like 12 hours.
right,
So, you know, rest versus rust debate. I always go rest. And I mean, I go rest in this case, I should say. I don't always go rest. But I think Milwaukee has a bit of an advantage here with the day off. It's not like they had a week off before the series, they only had a couple days. The
right.
Mets played two games yesterday. They got to fly to Milwaukee, and they got to rely on Luis Severino, who we know is not necessarily, Nolan Ryan in the postseason.
I agree. Well,
But
I guess we'll have to see
I
how that
wish him
all
luck.
unfolds. And as for the Braves and Padres series, same thing. So, and they had to go from Atlanta all the way to the west coast of San Diego. Game one at 8:30. San Diego's opening at -190 on the money line. A lot of people are very
Yeah.
confident about San Diego in game one, at least. You
I
think,
thought that was surprising too, but I think a lot of it has to do with the starter that the Braves announced.
yeah, um, yeah, they're starting AJ Smith, Shaver. Anyways, but they do.
Shawver?
Yeah, but they
Shawver.
lost Chris Sale for the Wildcard Series, at least, and they'll
Yeah,
have to
that's
rely.
huge, dude. That's
Yeah,
huge news. I mean, that's like saying that would be like the NBA equivalent of saying, we lost Jalen Brunson for
exactly.
the first round. I don't know if it's that much or not, but he's the Cy Young winner for the NL. He's their ace, and it's the thing about baseball that I think a lot of people don't understand is having just one ace on a team can make or break how well you do in the playoffs. Think about Madison Bumgarner and what was it, 2011? The year the Giants won the World Series with Buster Posey and Madison
Yeah,
Bumgarner.
yeah, they won in
Um,
10, 12, and
you remember
14.
what Madison Bum?
Yeah, that big game 7 coming in
Dude, the
the
year
fifth
Madison
inning.
Bumgarner. Yes, dude, that just shows you the value of an ace. I'm not saying Chris Sale is that guy. I don't think he is at all, but he's good enough where if you send him out there in game one, it's basically a toss up of who wins this game. Now it's very heavily leaning Padres because they're starting this guy who's thrown 4 innings all year.
Yeah,
Think about that. I was just looking at his stats. This guy's only thrown 4 innings all year, and it was against the Cubs. And he's 21 years old. Holy shit. So you're gonna send a 21-year-old out in San Diego to start game one of a pretty much a must-win game. That's crazy to me.
That's why
But
these stakes are added. That's what's cool about the game as well with it, because of the drama.
dude,
But yeah,
knowing baseball too, this will be like a really tight game. It's
right. And we have for San Diego starting someone we're familiar with in Michael King, part of the big Soto deal, and actually pitched pretty well for the Yankees.
ex-Yankee.
But yeah, I think the Padres are winning this series too. Same with the Brewers, and they will be moving on with their prospective series. But it looks like also for the AL side, we have the Detroit Tigers and Houston Astros. Right now, game one here being played, the Tigers are up 3-0 against the Astros. And then the Royals are at the top of the ninth, and the Royals are uh Royals and Orioles are both tied at 0 in the bottom of the fifth. Where do
Oh
we
yeah.
see this going for the AL side?
I would say the AL is a lot more intriguing matchup wise than the NL for the wild cards. Um, but any obviously anything can happen. I wouldn't be surprised if all these underdogs all won outright in this series. But I with the Tigers looking like they're going to take game one, unless we see a really big comeback here from the Astros, I would honestly lean. I would probably lean Tigers to win the series, considering they only have to win one of the next two. But I don't know. Houston, you can never, ever count Houston out. I don't care if they're down 1-0 in this
You're unfortunately
series.
right about that. We know all too
And
well.
part of me would like to see Houston in the ALCS this year just to get revenge on them.
Oh man, that would be like 9 years in the making, bro. Lost in 15,
Why
17,
not?
19,
Why
and
not?
22. No, I'd
You
support
got
that
to
too.
you got to slay
Unfortunately,
the dragon at some point, man. You can't hope to play these small market teams that don't have big names,
yeah,
because those teams could be the scariest.
you know what
Um,
they say. I'm a wrestling fan. There was a wrestler, Ric Flair. He said, "If you want to be the
mhm.
man, you gotta beat the man." And if it's against the Astros
So true.
particularly, that'd be finally some poetic justice and big momentum when you play the NL at that point.
Dude, it's so true, man. And the Yankees, regardless, obviously me and you are both diehard Yankees fans. Um, Regardless of how these series play out, we got to be ready to rock. We just got to do our
Ready to
jobs.
rock.
They got to do their jobs. And Matt, nothing would make me happier than me and you parking our asses in a seat and watch the playoff game at the stadium. Maybe we can get there this season.
Bro, I'm ready.
Who knows?
Once in a lifetime. The last playoff game I was at was a game 5 Yankees Astros 2019 ALCS.
We was about
Um
to say 19 something. Wait
yeah, I
a
was like,
minute.
no,
How
no,
old are
far
you?
away. And yeah, that was the most intriguing. And I went been to Yankee games since. I didn't go when they were in 22. And then obviously 20 was COVID, and then 21. I forgot what that did they not make it 21? I forgot what happened. Regardless. No. The fucking
That was a shortened season,
Cole.
wasn't it?
No, 2020 short season, and it was Cole who blew it against the Red Sox. That was 21, and then 22
Oh,
had that great
was
series
that
against
the?
the Indians, and then swept
Oh
by the
yeah, was that
Astros.
when you say Garrett Cole choked? Was that a wild card series or was that a one
It
and
was
done?
it was the last wild card game. Remember the wild card game was what used to be only one and done. Bizarre concept
Yeah,
looking back. But
that's kind of wild to think about. You play 162 games to come down to one single game to make or break whether or not you go home. That's wild.
all those teams that were crushed, like the
That's
Oakland A's that
crazy.
happened to them. Remember they lost to the Royals. The Orioles got walked off against the Blue Jays that one wild card game.
Hmm.
Yankees beat
Yeah,
Minnesota and Oakland as well. DD's 3-run
yeah.
homer. Yeah, so I would love to do that. If anything, too, definitely going to the parade. I was at the last one.
Oh
I
yeah,
was at the last one, 2009. That was in freshman
dude,
in high
Hideki
school.
Matsui,
Oh man,
Godzilla.
that's one of my top five favorite Yankees ever. Yeah, last one of the core four, CC in there. Remember AJ Burnett
CC,
would
Andy
step
Pettit,
up. Yep.
A
Remember Melky?
Rod,
Oh yeah, Melky Cabrera,
Nick
Johnny Dame,
Swisher.
the swish. Johnny Damon steals third when nobody was on it. Huge heads up play.
That was a goated team, bro. That was a very good goated team. Was Curtis Granderson on that team as
He
well?
came back. He came in the very next season, 2010. So
Yo,
just
put
missed it.
this in perspective real quick. Think about this. In baseball, you play 162 games. If you're a starter in baseball, say you're like Bobby Witt or, Shohei or Mookie Betts, you're playing, if you're healthy, you're playing almost every day,
Yep.
every game, right? And then before they expanded the playoffs, you're playing a do or die win or go home game. And then you compare that to a sport like the NBA, where you have, what is it, 12-minute quarters. They're playing about 70, 80 games a year. Their starters aren't even playing the whole game. There's a massive, the schedule is not as brutal as the MLB. You're getting a lot of days off. Guys are resting, guys are whatever. And then you go through this monster postseason in the NBA where you get all these best of 7 series. It's just wild to me that baseball, it's just you play all year and then it's done just like that.
I
In the
know,
blink of
right?
an eye, it can be over. And then you get a sport like basketball. And that's why, I don't want to talk bad about basketball, but it's a reason I have trouble following it. It's because it's so long. They play these series, best of 7, it's like you've already played 80 games. But it's a completely different sport, and either way, the playoffs for any professional sport is electric, and I'll watch it every time.
Absolutely. And like I said, I really a very, very slight advantage over the football players, and I mean really slight. But I think
Mhm.
baseball has the best postseason out of them all because of the stakes, because of do or die, because of
I
the
agree.
drama that goes into it. Like I said, the only other time is the NFL very slightly, but
Mhm.
baseball, it's October for a reason, man. You get that special chill in the air and people
I
playing for
agree.
their lives, man. People playing for
It's
their lives.
it's a lot of fun, man. It really is. And real quick, the Orioles Royals series. I want to hear real quick your prediction on who do you like to come out of that series as the victor here.
Definitely the Royals. The Orioles,
Really?
I picked the Royals because new up and
Wow.
coming team, no house money. The Orioles really struggled very bad in August and September down the stretch. They picked it up a little bit towards the end, but I
So
think
did KC though, and
that's
they're
true.
missing one of their
Absolutely.
better players.
They had a really bad stretch themselves, but I just think if anything, I'm have a good feeling about KC, and I'll give it to them because of their defense and speed.
Mhm.
Similarly, how they won the World Series back in 15 and won the pennant in 14. That's where I see it going there. But wouldn't be surprised, especially the home field advantage for Baltimore, to take it. And the winner of this series will play the Yankees, correct?
Mhm.
That'd be
Correct.
fun.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to see a Royals Yankees players. They had a big rivalry in the 70s, met up in the playoffs a bunch in the early 80s as well. That'd be a cool nod to some old school, to a very old school rivalry. So that's why I'd like to see that too.
Yeah. 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 I agree. And there's nobody I root for more than a guy like Salvador Perez, who is just an
Yeah,
awesome dude. I mean,
still out
Sally
there.
Perez, that guy, he is so freaking good at baseball. He's such a good catcher. He's so consistent. He's won home run derbies. He's been an all-star many, many times. He's won a World Series. They've got the guys. They certainly do. And the reason I would probably lean KC is, but I'm gonna actually pick the Orioles to win the series, surprisingly. But the reason part of me wants to pick Royals is because they have a stronger starting rotation.
Yep.
Um, Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha, I believe, and I'm forgetting the other guy's name, but I have not been impressed. I'm looking at the score now. This game is zooming right along. We're already in the 6th inning here, which is crazy. This game started at what, 4 o'clock, and they're in the 6th
Yeah,
inning.
right.
But yeah, so Corbin Burns has not impressed me at all this season. I know he's their ace, but his ERA in September is 1.2, which is incredible. However, going back to August, his ERA was over 7. So think about that, Matt. His ERA went from a 7.3 in the month of August. This is just in the month. It's not total ERA. Just his ERA went from a 7.3 in August to a 1.2 in September. So something tells me he is locked in. He's already thrown 5 1/3 innings today, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks, no runs given up. So, but after that, my point is, after Burns, you don't really have a lot of guys in that Orioles rotation. I would give the advantage to the Orioles offense. The Royals don't have the firepower offensively besides Witt and Perez, and that one of their better players, their first baseman, Pasquano, or I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's been out for about a month now. But yeah, I think that's going to be a complete toss-up series. Could go either way, but I'm going to pick Orioles. I'm going to pick Orioles. I'm going to say the Yankees match up with the Orioles, and we'll look forward to a game 1 on Saturday at Yankee Stadium.
Amen to that. So we're gonna wrap things up. But I am very excited to cover this postseason with you, Alec. We'll see you next week. We're gonna record.
Definitely.
We're gonna record on Monday or Tuesday after the first 2 games of the Yankee series, and we'll break down where things will go from there. And hopefully, we will have a great journal of content as we followed, especially the Yankees road to the World Series. But either way, just seeing October baseball for what it is, that's what we are most excited for as well. But if you don't have anything else to say, Alec, thank you so much for being great as always. I'll give the floor to you before we say goodbye.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure. I'm looking forward to these games, and we'll make some predictions next week as to who I say we do. So after this, once we start the show next week, we'll have 8 teams left.
Mm-hmm.
The division series matchups. And then say from there, we just kind of do some predictions as to who wins the division, who goes on, World Series predictions. And we'll just keep talking more ball. But always a pleasure, man. Always love chatting with you, Matt. Thank you.
A fucking man. That sounds like a great plan to me. And now let's enjoy postseason baseball. Let us enjoy October baseball. All right, that's the great Alec Reeves, and we'll see you next
Amen.
week.
Go Yankees. Let's go.